Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new season. Welcome to Sunshine, hopefully. It's probably going to rain now, but it's me, so anything can happen. My name is Evil Dragon XL, aka Discount Murray Walker. Joining me is someone who I wasn't meant to have because my other one has some other preoccupations. So I've got Luke. Hello, Luke. Say hi.
Hello, Liam. How are you? Hope you're doing
good.
well. Hello, everyone who's watching. This should be a fantastic race for drivers. All getting ready. Brand new season here in the Podium tier for One Hub Racing. Interested to see how everyone's done. They've had the pre-season race. Hopefully, they've got all their frustrations out last time around, and we can get some proper good action to start the season off at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
Yeah, first, of course, this circuit first hosting a race in the late 70s. The Canadian Grand Prix itself first hosted a race in 1961, of course. That race was at the first stage was in the Motorsport Park in, I'm going to pronounce this wrong because I'm dyslexic, so behold, Bowmanville, Ontario. Or basically Motorsport Park, if you're you or me, because that's what it's called. It's in Quebec as well. So very quite fun there, of course. And of course, we moved to the more famous circuit of Montreal in around about 1978. Hosted it pretty much every time, seeing apart from I think about 3 times, that being this year technically, because it doesn't sound like it's going ahead. Last year. And 2009 when they couldn't host it either. It's hosted pretty much every other race since. So quite interesting, Luke, isn't it? To see what this circuit can do. It's the first race of this season. I'm used to it being Australia myself, but here in Canada, it's my favourite track, nearly on this game. It could be quite fun.
Yeah, it could be quite fun. It would be quite interesting, I think, in Formula 1 if they had the first race of the season at Canada, because I imagine it would be pretty chilly in Montreal on the St. Lawrence River in March. But yeah, quite a challenging circuit that the drivers have to make their way around as well. It hasn't changed too much since 1978. 4.361 kilometres, 2.710 miles, 14 corners, most famously, of course, the Wall of Champions coming out of turn 14, the final corner on the track. And it's probably on the way into there. You'll see most of the overtaking at the end of one of 3 DRS zones around here. Straight line speed is very important, as is having low speed grip as well. This is a track that kills the rear tyres. I think in previous Formula 1 races, when cars were less reliable, was known as a bit of a brake killer. The cars really got a hammering around this Canadian circuit.
Well, it certainly did, of course. We all remember some of the bigger races, of course. 1999, the race where that wall became a legend, when Villeneuve, Damon Hill and Michael Schumacher all had separate incidents. Villeneuve had incidents in that wall in the last 2 years before 1999 as well. One of the only drivers that has not hit that wall, as far as I'm very much aware, and I might be mistaken, Lewis Hamilton hasn't hit that wall yet. He's still got time if he doesn't retire this year, unless I'm very much mistaken, in which case, well, he had Jenson Button's hit it, I know that much. He hit that in 2004. Sebastian Vettel's crashed that in 2011, the same race where Jenson Button, of course, did that famous last to first challenge, pretty much, in the world's longest race of just over 4 hours and I think 5 minutes, Luke. So hopefully this race isn't 4 hours long, otherwise I might fall asleep.
Yeah, if we get to 4 hours, I will be extremely surprised, and we'll be running out of things to talk about. That must mean there'll be a lot of safety car periods, as most leagues do. It is a pretty standard 18-lap race, 18-minute qualified, I should say, 35-lap race, half distance around here, and a compulsory 2-stop. Although Canada, being such a short pit lane, is probably a track that most of the drivers would do a 2-stop normally. So expect probably soft, medium strategy if you're starting in the top 10. If you're starting outside of the top 10, you might be able to make 2 sets of soft work, depending on how careful you are on your tyres. Hopefully, though, we'll get plenty of overtaking around here. And as you said, there might always be that little risk of rain that could just change things up.
Yeah, of course, Canada, of course, being on the St. Lawrence River. Of course, not too far away from downtown Montreal. It has got the Expo Centre not too far away. That, of course, being the famous dome you often see around here. Of course, the used to do the thing, was it the Winter Olympics back in the old days, of course. The rowing situated right here. Of course, it is a man-made island as well. So quite interesting. Weather often comes around here, of course, but we always talk about 2011 and that monsoon. Possibly the worst weather I've ever seen hit an F1 race. Although probably might not be topping another incident that happened in Malaysia, but we don't talk about Malaysia because that always rains, to be fair, Luke, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say, when I think of wet F1 races, Malaysia is usually the first one that comes to mind. Hopefully, though, like we said, hopefully it will be a dry race. Quite a tricky circuit for the drivers to cope with. I think there's a few action zones have been mentioned that the drivers are going to have to be aware of. Of course, turn 1 and 2, especially on the opening lap, can be quite difficult. You can see drivers getting squeezed around here. Turn 8 and 9, that first chicane out of the back DRS straight, another quite tricky corner, the low-speed hairpin. You can see drivers go for overtakes into turn 10. Most likely, though, they'll try and stay behind, use the DRS, and try and get the move done before turn 13 and turn 14, before the Wall of Champions chicane, because getting it done into that chicane, it is quite a high-speed corner, is difficult. Watch out for the pit entry and pit exit as well. That is why the pit loss time on this track is so low. It's about 16.5 seconds you lose by going into the pit, because you basically cut out the final chicane, so you need to be careful that you don't slam it into the car in front of you as you're not braking on the way into the pit. And also, when you come out of the pit, you come out halfway around turn 2, so that's another one to watch out and be careful for.
Yeah, most certainly, of course, the circuit. Only, 11 corners, give or take, I think 12, 14 corners. I'd say 14, it's rounded up, 14 corners, of course. Famously, the last real corner, of course, were the champions. They got the Casio straight before it. These are all French, by the way, so when we get into this, I'm probably going to pronounce them wrong. But all we know is, really, there's only 3 corners that have got names, actually, so this should be quite easy. The first corner being Virad Senna, presumably named after Senna, and we've got El Empringo, which is the hairpin, apparently, according to this map, which is the official map, so I'm presuming that is how you pronounce it. I'm not quite sure. We'll find this out as we go. This is always going to be interesting, Luke. When we come to any track that's, like, anywhere around the world that's not English, it's always very difficult to pronounce, isn't it?
There's few tracks that I go for the circuit, like for the corner names, if I'm being perfectly honest. Silverstone, obviously. Suzuka has a few with the Degners, 130R, Casio Triangle, so there. Italy, Spa, Monaco. That's pretty much it. I think everywhere else I go for corner names, because it's sort of, it seems, well, corner numbers, it seems to be a mismatch of whether certain tracks have corner names or corner numbers. Of course, some corner numbers have led to some fantastic tracks. Turn 8, obviously, we all know and love at Istanbul, despite not having a fascinating name. But I think I'll be sticking to the numbers. I don't want to be humiliating myself tonight.
Hey, firm apart from all the champions, which I'm pretty certain everyone will understand. But, of course, we've got drivers, right? I don't think we've really mentioned them, Luke, have we? So, we've got, as I now try and butcher the names again, they taught me how to pronounce it, and inevitably here, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. So we have, in Williams, we've got, Oke. How I'm now going to pronounce him is going to be wrong. We've got Colin in the other Williams. We've got the Haas of JM. We've got Neon in the Racing Point. We've got the Alpha Towers of Estil and Lambie. We've got good old Cam. Haven't seen him for a while. Good to see Cam hovering around from the old days when I commentated. We've got F1 Firth. We've got Rich in the Mercedes. We've got Gogs in the Alpha. We've got Jonah in the other Red Bull. We've got Tech in the Renault alongside Rogue in the other Renault as well. We've got Risky getting frisky in the Ferrari. We've got, however I'm going to try and pronounce this name, which is above Casper, by the way. It's good to see Casper as well here. We've got, I think it's Watsley in the other Alfa Romeo. We've got Cloudy in the Red Bull. We've got Bannister, who hopefully doesn't fall down it as well, in the McLaren. And we've got us two beautiful commentators here as well. So just a few minutes to go until the race starts. It should have started, I think, about 5 minutes ago. So I believe we are waiting a little longer here, Luke. So could be a few issues there. I'll have a little look and see what's going on.
Yeah, we are just waiting for a few of the drivers to turn up and see what... I think that's what it is, waiting for a few of the drivers. Let's talk about some of the ones that we have got, though, on the grid this year. And I know which drivers are hot and cold that they've gone for. It's a bit hard to tell at the start of the season. Well, one of the hot drivers in this tier is the man who actually finished third last season in Podium. Managed to pick up a couple of podium well, 4 podiums and 2 wins last season. And he's a man who, it's not a home race, but it's not too far away. The American, Cam came on 153. Be interesting to see what he can do in the Ferrari. And the Cold driver, someone who's actually taken a step down from the Precision tier. He's now in what is a third of 5 tiers here at One Hub. We've now got Prospect, Points, Podium, Precision, and then Pinnacle. And that is Jonas Ulbricht, 14th last season in Precision. We'll see if he can find his pace back now that he's dropped his way down. And consistency, pretty much the name of the game here in One Hub, because the top 12 get points. So even if you're having a bad race, if you can sneak a few points, and it's only 20 for a win, as opposed to 25 in real Formula 1, you can be in with a really good chance at the end of the season, as long as you keep picking up these podiums. And with it only being 10 races, you can't really afford to have too many off days where you get nothing altogether.
Yeah, of course, that's all just going to mean 10 opportunities to get the maximum point. 200 points, give or take, the maximum any driver can score this season. Hopefully we don't see one driver win all of these races. That would be a real shame, but never know. It has happened presumably in the past. It can happen in these races as well. I believe we should be starting in just a few moments' time as well. But yeah, Cam, fan favourite here. He's a fan favourite of many drivers, the American, of course. Could be very interesting to see where he comes from, of course. I'm looking down the rest of the field. I'm looking for the likes of Casper. We've got Cloudy Balloons. These drivers, of course, we all recognise from the past as well, especially in other leagues and especially here in One Hub as well. So it could be a very interesting trip as well. We've got Bannister, who I have no idea. So it's going to be some drivers I don't really know a lot about, which we're going to find out, of course. I couldn't be here for the pre-season race due to personal issues and has not been able to watch it due to other reasons going around. So it'll be interesting to see what these drivers can really do. But I'm thinking Cam, we've got, surely is the fan favourite. He is hot on the heels of a lot of people. So let's see what we can do as still waiting for this session to start.
Yeah, we have pretty much got we've got what Brundle and Coulthard had in 2011 here, but as long as we don't start talking about, I think it was Red Shoulders Blackbirds, just seems to have burnt itself in on my memory as to what DC was ending up going about. So we might as well have a look at what some of the races are going to be this season. Of course, 10 races as we've sort of changed to in One Hub over the last few seasons. This is going to be the final season on this game, so the drivers really are going to be up for it now. They should be completely used pretty much to how the races are going to go. A lot of the tracks, of course, and we are going to see some tracks, I think, this season that we haven't seen before. But as we get the calendar up, it is Canada here, Singapore next time around, China, Belgium, Austria, rounding out the first half of the season, Spain, Italy, Russia, France, before we finish at an old traditional finishing point into Lagos on the 18th of June. Another race like Canada where you could end up seeing a lot of rain. So there is a good mixture of tracks there, which should mean that there's something for all the drivers this season. You've got the tight, twisty circuits of Singapore, Russia as well. The final sector there is quite twisty. Then you've got, obviously, Monza, Spa, two very historic, two very high-speed tracks.
Yeah, of course, next week going to Singapore, a circuit where oftenly we see some interesting races. Now, if it's wet in Singapore, it is always going to be one of those really questionable races, because in the wet around Singapore, and I've done this before, there's no grip, basically. If you run into us at Singapore, you are basically good as wool. Now, hopefully, we don't have races this season, Luke, that is kind of in this situation where it wants to be wet, but it doesn't want to be wet, because we've seen that. I'm not sure if it's a glitch or it's meant to be there. It possibly is meant to be there, but the weather, when it suddenly decides it wants to be in between both, that could be very spicy if that happens at all this season, don't you reckon?
It could be, and I'm going to be honest, they're the best racers. I love those races. Sometimes, and I've seen this myself, we've all seen it in real Formula 1, and I've seen it on races I've commentated on. Full dry races, especially now the dirty air's been strengthened on this game, can sometimes be a bit dull and lead to DRS trains. Full wet races, where drivers have put more downforce on, can sometimes be a bit dull. When you get those changeable conditions, as a driver sometimes I love the challenge. I seem to do better when it's changeable than I do in full wet or full dry, so I'm sometimes begging it for it to stay in those conditions. And it's brilliant for the commentators, it's brilliant for the fans as well. When all that strategy goes out the window, you can do all the practice, you can plan everything, how long the tyres are going to last, None of that matters if you've got it raining for a period of 5 or 10 minutes and you have to determine, do I stick on the set of intermediate tyres? Do I just stay on the dries and try and survive? We mentioned the two-stop compulsory strategy. That is also the case if it rains. So even though intermediates and wets can normally last comfortably with a one-stop, if we do get wet conditions today, you still have to make a second stop. So you might be thinking, do I pit later on and maybe put on a set of intermediates? Of course, we don't know what the weather's going to be like, but we'll be finding out what it'll be like shortly for qualifying, the first qualifying of this podium tier season.
Of course, and we are now just getting into the session as well. So after about a 15-minute delay, unfortunately there, or I suppose nearly a 20-minute delay for us because we started 5 minutes early, we're underway. But that's not going to matter though, because we've got some racing, Luke, and we've got qualifying, of course, ahead of us. 18 minutes of fine fettled form. And then see what the weather's going to be. Drum roll, please. And it's going to be the first qualifying of the season. And it is going to be questionable. It is cloudy with an air temperature of 19 degrees and a track temperature apparently to this, and this is broken on my screen, minus 29.
Well, good news is I've got plus 29, so that is really good. Some fairly cool. It's not often I've seen... I know it says cloudy on the test system, but it is fairly dry, well, fairly sunny out on track, so quite cool. Tyres might last a bit longer. Fairly short track here at Canada, sub 70-second laps you'll be seeing easily in some of the top tiers, so maybe the drivers might be able to get multiple laps in. It has actually been, I think it's been quite a while since we saw people racing at Canada. Season 16 was the last time in the podium tier, and I think it was Cam K-Mum who took the victory on that occasion, so we already said he's a driver who's in hot form. Judging by the end of last season, he'll be hoping for the perfect start, but, of course, a long way to go. We'll see how this qualifying session goes first.
Indeed, so we've got the first few drivers out on circuit, and pretty much everyone out on circuit. We've got the likes of Casper and Jonas. I think those two are the top at the front of this little gaggle of cars right now. I think about, what was it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drivers now out on circuit here. And it is, of course, the Racing Point to be named Aston Martin, which has only got slower now this season due to regulation changes, which is a shame. But let's see what default car can do around this beautiful circuit, of course. Canada, a fan favourite for everyone in this season. Now it will be hairpin, of course, where Robert Kubica had that horrifying crash back in 2007. 1 year later, of course, he went on to win that race, Luke. But let's not hope and not quander if any incidents happen around this circuit. And let's go on with qualifying, shall we?
Yeah, let's get qualifying underway then. Let's see what Casper can do on a lap of this circuit. Heading up towards the first corner, you've got that slight little kink before you get into turn 1. Just locking up the brakes ever so slightly is Casper there. Round turn 2, it's very tempting to get on the throttle early coming out of that corner. You don't need to be too aggressive though. Easy to find the walls here at a circuit which most don't consider the street circuit, but does have them same street circuit characteristics. Braking hard then into turn 6. Do not be too greedy onto the first part. You need a good exit through 7. Again, accelerating. Open the DRS as soon as you get towards the straight, and then heading under this bridge for one of the action zones. Turn 8 and 9, a corner which can be deceptively tricky, almost as much so as the Wall of Champion chicane later on in the lap. Then heading now through the second sector point. 41 seconds as you come through there. It's very hard braking hairpin at turn 10 where things started going swiftly downhill for Nigel Mansell in 1991, and I can't repeat what Nelson Piquet said that made him feel in that race. 11 and 12, just little flat out kinks basically on the way down this casino straight into the Wall of Champions there. The welcome to Quebec sign over on the right hand side. Casper staying to the right hand side as well to gain better lap time. 108.919, very respectable first lap in this session. And we have got some interesting news from I think the partner of the man who's just gone P1. It is going to rain at the end of this race. Now that is going to be fascinating, because now a lot of the drivers think, should we just try and run a one stop in this race and then bolt on a set of wetter tyres at the end to do the compulsory 2 stops, or do you do your normal strategy? Very interesting indeed.
Well, you can only imagine, of course, as Speed Risky in the pit lane and in the Ferrari. Looks like he may have knocked off his front wing. Interesting strategy here, of course. Seeing both the Ferraris right now, both on invalid laps already. So Cam and Speed not getting the season off to a flyer so far. This is always going to be quite interesting. It is, of course, only the start of qualifying, but really want to get these laps in early, because if you get caught out later on, it can really be detrimental to your entire race and the qualifying as well, can't it?
Yeah, definitely. You want to set a banker lap early, I always feel, because if you're leaving it till the end, you can't push 100% on your last lap, because you know you've got to leave something in hand if you want to be avoiding starting last. I mean, Cam came on, he's already done a lap on these soft tyres, he's now having to do another lap on them, which is less than ideal. I'm fascinated by the few drivers that have gone on the medium tyres. Cloudy Balloons, he's now heading towards the finish line, goes up onto 6th on those medium tyres, about 7 tenths off of what Colin has managed. We said there's about half a second between the C5s, the softest tyres Pirelli make, and the C4, so that is a very good lap by Cloudy Balloons. He got mentioned in the rivalries earlier on between him and Speed Risky. Said he's not really a fan of the interviewer, which I think is always nice to endear yourself to the press in the first race of the season. He's clearly going for the Kimi Räikkönen approach, but it's like he says, we've only had the pre-season race. No one's going to go all out and show all the form they've got in the pre-season race. Yes, you're going to push hard, but you're probably not going to practice the same, knowing that it doesn't count. So I think tonight we could end up with a bit more of a mixed-up order to what we saw last week.
Indeed, Casper currently purple in Sector 2. Is he going to finish the lap off? He chucks it into the last corner. Nice over the curbs. Onto the line he comes then. This could be good enough, I think. P2 then, potentially. Crosses the line, stays P3. Does improve by 2 tenths, but it is not enough in the end to topple the front two, who are, remember, just over 2.5 tenths there. So it is Colin, currently P1 from Tech in P2. Good lap so far for them. That really setting the benchmark, but we don't know what everyone else is setting yet, though, Luke. This is the interesting thing there, is Casper rather touches the wall into, I think that's turn 5 and 6. A little bit wide up there, but he gets it away perfectly fine. We've got the Ferraris back out on circuit as well. So, a few drivers to show that hand, but so far, Colin, Tech, Casper, those are your top 3. And what can we make of that so far?
I think we can. It shows, I think, that Colin, Tech and Casper, they've all got really good confidence in their car to push straight away. I'm just looking at the TAS system. We've got Jonas has had to change his ring. Okiki, Rich, Apex Rogue, Speed Risky. So many drivers breaking their front ring early on, maybe just struggling with the grip. And I think that's why only half the field has set a lap time on this occasion. Only 9 of the 18 drivers. I mean, we've already had 6.5 minutes of this session. Some drivers heading out on the circuit now. Itzy has just invalidated his lap, so that's a shame for him. Drivers are finding it difficult at the moment to find a grip around this circuit, and we've already seen you just have to tap the wall ever so slightly, especially if you do it coming out the wall of champions heading onto your fast lap, and you've basically got to go the entire way around. You're not going to set a competitive lap time. You just got to be careful that you don't hit the wall again and knock a wheel off.
Yeah, the Ferrari low into turn number 1. That is of Cam. Now it's all important here. He gets this lap done. Doesn't want to make a mistake here. Nice and smooth for the exit of turn 1 and 2. Into 3 and 4. This is where we saw a Ferrari go scampering off a few years ago and caused a bit of drama. Number 42 low. Fine. Purple first sector. And that up by about a couple of tenths there then. So that's going to be interesting to see what he can do. Nice smooth on the exit. Build the speed up to the first DRS zone on this circuit, I suppose, if you're not counting the last one, which technically starts the lap as well. For the exit of this, nice and smooth there, down towards the hairpin of 10. Let's see, late on the brakes, around about just where that braking zone is there. You can see the concrete, chuck the front right locking up. Chuck it in, nice and smooth to the exit, through the Casio then, and then down the long straight. A chicane used to be back here in 1994. Right there on the right, of course, not there anymore, thank for the Lord. Only chicane being this final one right here. Purple first sector, I think a purple second sector potentially as well then through the last corner. Can get his qualifying off and get the season off to a rocking start. Well, he only goes 9th though. So, only 9th for him then, despite on my screen being 2 purples. I'm not sure what the TAS said, of course. Let's have a little look, and it looks like it might not have been. Looks like only 2 green sectors, so the game being deceivingly evil right now. So only 10th for Cam, his first banker low. He's got another set after this, I believe, of just over 9 minutes. A little bit of a frisky moment there as a few drivers fly past him on the right.
Yeah, Colin's just gone purple in the final sector and set a faster lap than he did earlier on, a 108.313 personal bests in the first 2 sectors as well. Rich has followed him into second place. JM69 goes into 4th, so we're really seeing drivers put out a bit more pace. Jonas Ulbricht, he's just coming through the final sector now. Didn't find any time in the first sector, did in the second sector. So if he has a better final sector here, might be able to push his way ahead of Neon. Who knows if he can get up any further.
Yep, nice move through the last corner like a baby's bottom, all the way to the start line, keep to the right, that's too much on the right. Does improve with a bit of grass cutting, and the Red Bull mechanics might be a bit scared about that one, as he rather goes and takes the old route through turn number 1 there, and rather just straight lines it, which is fair enough. He wants to get back to the pit lane as soon as he can, right now as he passes down the signs there, but a little bit of grass cutting for good measure. The drivers pushing their cars to the absolute limit. Haven't luckily seen any driver crash out of qualifying yet, but we've got a few drivers down the back still to set a lap time. We've got Farf down the back who is not set a lap time, and we've got a few others starting to set lap times as well, but a little bit of a spread in qualifying of around about 2.2 seconds there as well.
Yeah, would expect it, obviously, to the split to go down, so we'll have to see how things go for the rest of the session. I mean, between the top 12 drivers, he's less than a second at the moment, which you would expect, obviously, partly around a shorter circuit, partly just because of how close the drivers are. Doing qualifying night around Bahrain does ensure that the drivers are fairly close together. Tech is coming towards the end of his lap now. He's actually gone purple in the middle sector. He was only slightly down on his personal best in the first sector, so he might be able to improve and get onto the front row here. The Renault comes across the line. He does more than go onto the front row. Provisional pole position. First man in the 108.2s.
Well, game set and done then. He's put the hammer down. Let's see Tech looking for that fastest thing. Let's see who else is currently on a lap then. Looking through tabs, we've got Casper in the first sector. He's gone purple. Now, where is he? He's down in 6th on an out lap low, so that's probably just the thing trying to reset itself. Either that or he's gone for an incredible first sector coming on an out lap low, which could be interesting right there. He hasn't invalidated, so he must be going on fire. But Casper, let's see what he can do then. He'll be the first driver to start a lap right now as we speak, so we're on board with him. So we're down into turn number 1. Nice and smooth through here. Exit as well. This is all going to be about the traction zone there. A little bit of a twitch on the front left, the rear, trying to step around it as well. Seems a little bit like he's a bit more twitchy on the rear here. Nice move through the exit these corners. The first sector split really is going to indicate where he is. He's down in the first sector, but not by a lot. Only 61/100ths of a second. Up through here again, another big twitch on the rear end there. The car wanting there a swapper. And the last thing you want to do here is a tank slap into the wall, because that is really not what you want to do, is hit walls, to be fair. I mean, it's a bit detrimental, and the front right wheel might, or the front left won't happy. Through into the second sector. He's up by 2/10, purple there on that one. The telemetry saying it's a green sector to a 21.4. So it is definitely an up. Could be potentially around about 3rd position. Let's see then, as long as he hits this last chicane nice and smooth. Pull the revs up all the way to the left. Look for the indicator there, around about 75 metres. Right, left, straighten, up to the line, then take as shallowest line as possible. Maybe take a bit of grass for good measure. Does go P3 then. And that is exactly what he wanted to do right there.
Yeah, fantastic from Casper. He was actually, even though he didn't improve on that lap in Sector 1, he is purple in Sector 1 overall. So I'm wondering whether that twitchy rear end just helps him get the rotation coming out of Turn 1 and into Turn 2, and whether that is helping him out. That could start to kill the rear tyres as the race goes on. And I know in some of the pre-race interviews, I think it was True, for I don't think he's actually been able to make it tonight, unfortunately. I think he said that he was finding it quite twitchy on the rear end, and that was making it quite difficult. So something for the drivers to watch out for, and especially if it rains at the end of the race. If they're out on worn dry tyres when the rain starts to come down, don't be surprised if you see a few drivers doing some impromptu donuts.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, of course. Just looking, a few drivers apparently joined the wrong lobby earlier on, so that's a little bit of an issue, but that can happen, of course. First day, it's like a first day at school and you walk in the wrong classroom. You might feel a little bit awkward, but you'll get used to it after a time. Whoa, look at that there, risky. I'm just on board of him there on the outboard cam as well. He might have invalidated his lap time, but he did just set a 108.5. That would have put him, what, P4, I think that would have been, about P4, between P4 and 5, so he is pushing it right now. The drivers are on it. He's invalidated this lap time as well, unfortunately, so that's going to be a difficulty there. Pushing on a little bit, finding a few mistakes. Further down the field, though, we talked about the man who was hot. He's a little bit cold right now, isn't he, his Cam?
Yeah, and he's going out on a a fairly used set of the soft tyres. I mean, he's already done 2 hot laps on them, so surprised to see this from Cam. Is he feeling that the alternate strategy is supremely powerful around here? We know it can be very powerful on this game, but I am surprised to see him doing that. Just having a look now through the TAS system to see which drivers are improving on this lap. Cloudy Balloons, this is his first lap that he's done on the soft tyres, so he could be one to watch out for. He's 4 tenths up on his personal best coming through the middle sector. He'll probably find a bit of time in this final sector as well, so it could be a top 5 from the Red Bull driver.
Well, he's got a bit of slipstream. Let's see if he's going to dive into the slipstream here. He'll pull right just at the right time there because that was a bit close. Then through the last, okay, needs to make sure this is perfect. Over the yellow, well, orange sausage curbs right there, just to the line. This could be a good enough position for about P4, P5. I was 1 off. I'll give myself a gold sticker for that one. Good lap time then for Cloudy Balloons. That is P5 and, well, his car is blue. The cloud is, well, white right now. Hopefully we don't see, well, we are expecting rain later on. So let's see if Cloudy Balloons could be an interesting dark horse in this season right now. Let's see who else is on a lap time. And then looking few of drivers going purple. We've got Rich, I believe, on an out lap. And so I'm still getting used to Taz right now. We've got P16, that is a Rogue. He's gone, I believe, green in Sector 1. Let's see what his Sector 2 split is. If I'm not mistaken, he's invalidated. And exactly when I cut to him, of course. Which is always interesting to see. Let's have a look through the field then. We've got Cam. Is he coming in the pit lane, I'm wondering there? Is he going for another lap, Luke, you reckon?
Well, he's only just come out on these tyres, so I think he's actually decided to go for another lap, so he didn't go for a push lap on that one. That is very interesting indeed. He's just got to hope, as his teammate has actually just come out of the pit, so that should help him. Oh, he does look like he's been held up a tiny bit. You don't want to get held up. There's no quick pit stops in qualifying, which I know is something a lot of the esports drivers have been requesting for F1 2021, because with 2 minutes left to go in this session, he's going to have to get a pretty quick tyre change and then head back out on track, as I've just seen Tech Racing go very close to the barrier coming through the first sector.
Yeah, Cloudy Balloons also getting held up then in the pit lane. The mechanic still trying to get that car turned around into the pit lane. And that pretty much could be their session over. I don't think they're going to get another lap in, Luke. I mean, what is that, 1 minute 15? They've got to get out. Now, they're not going to do it. No, I don't. There's no reason they can do it. So I think those two have basically written off their qualifying. And Cam, fan favourite, out pretty much of qualifying. I would be a miracle if you can get a lap in from here. In fact, I don't think he can now.
No, I think... I've just seen the blankets go off as Tharf has retired in the pits. He's not actually done a lap, but I don't think he had a qualifying ban, so I'm not quite sure why that is. Someone in the chat may be able to correct me, but yeah, Cam is heading out on track. He is pushing it pretty close, but we have seen this before where the time that we see is slightly different to the time the drivers see. So if that's the situation now, then it's not going to be too bad. Just trying to see who is on a hot lap at the moment and who is improving. SD Matt's improved in Sector 1, but was down slightly in Sector 2, unfortunately, so it doesn't look like he's going to improve, although he's getting a lovely slipstream off his teammate Lambie at the moment, and teamwork could be a big help, especially at this circuit with the slipstream, and probably further on the season as well. We'll see it being used to varying degrees of success. We'll see SD Max come around the final corner, heading over to the left-hand side, so not the quickest line, and he is still a tenth down, but has got time to get another lap in, just whether he's got the tyres to set a faster lap, as Okiki has gone fastest in Sector 1. He was in the driver's press conference. He said he feels pretty good about this track. He's down in 10th at this moment in time, but he's showing why he feels pretty good. Purple in Sector 1, not an improvement in Sector 2, but still looks as though he will move his way further up the order as the checkered flag is out. And you were right, Cam did not have enough time.
Yeah, that was a mistake. Then Cam's had done that earlier. Let's see what Okiki can do then through the last couple of corners. He's in the wall there on the exit of the corner. And that is his lap done. That is exactly what we talked about could happen. Almost a Kevin Magnussen-esque incident there. Was it Roman Grosjean? I think that was in 2018, I believe, or 2019, one of the two. It's kind of a bit blurred in my memory right now. Hits the wall. That is the end of qualifying for him. We've got a few other drivers on laps, but I think most of them invalidated. I'd see if Casper's on a lap time. He's currently on one. I don't know if it's quick. It's not quick because he's pulling over to the right. I'm pretty certain that is qualifying over, Luke, unless I'm very much mistaken.
I think that is qualifying over, and it looks like Tech 31 Racing, 108.299. He'll have that perfect shot into turn one. A fairly short run here into turn one compared to some tracks, obviously ones that come to mind with much longer runs, Italy and Spain, Russia as well, having quite long runs towards the first braking zone. So Tech not in a bad position at the moment. Colin did look very consistent as well behind him. Casper setting some fast laps. Look, it's the first race of the season. Now we're truly going to see what everyone can do in qualifying, and whether anyone from outside the top 10, maybe an SD Mats, maybe a Cam Kane mom, on an alternate strategy, who knows whether things will go their way.
Oh yeah, Cam's going to have it all to work for then. Fan favourite, former champions of course. He's got it all to work for. P15, we've seen drives from P14 at different circuits. In real life, Germany of course, we remember, I think Lewis Hamilton took a victory, Rubens Barrichello of course, back in the year 2000 took Ladder, a very emotional victory of course. He was in tears over the radio. I don't know if Cam will be in tears if he wins this race. It might be tears of joy perhaps, we'll find out of course. There might be tears of somewhere else of course. Let's see what happens in this race. Rain expected, 14 thousandths of a second though between first and second. I don't think we really talked about that, Luke, if I'm not mistaken. Incredibly close between the top two.
Yeah, fantastically close. Casper only just a tenth behind as well. We've got, top 8 drivers separated by less than half a second, in fact less than 4/10 of a second. Top 14 separated by a second. This is going to be an extremely close race, and DRS trains could be a thing. It could be decided, as we see so often on F1 2020, could be a race decided on strategy.
Yeah, strategy race of course. Reminds me of the old 2000s. Back when you saw the likes of Michael Schumacher doing a 4-stop or something around that. Of course, I mean, it was some of the most famous races he's done, of course, strategies. And, well, let's see if anything can happen, of course, here. 2-stop strategy, mandatory for all drivers. I'm wondering, of course, we expect, presumably, due to the rain, I think we might be seeing a 3-stop, potentially a 4-stop, depending on how heavy it gets. We'll find out of what it will be completely. We know, of course, it is forecast rain, but we don't know exactly how heavy the rain is going to be.
Yeah, and we don't really have an idea, well, until the drivers have got into this session, to be honest, they don't really have an idea. Everyone who's played F1 will know you get a 0-minute weather, 20 minutes and 45 minutes. If it says it's wet for that 45 minutes, but not at 20, there's no guarantee the rain's going to start at minute 21 or minute 44. You don't know when it's going to come. Normally, in my experience, when the game says it's going to come on your strategy window, when it gives you the 6 or 7 blocks at the top of the screen, it usually comes a bit earlier than that. So that is something to play in mind. We might get a bit of an idea when it's coming by the tyres of those outside the top 10. We know everyone inside the top 10 will be starting on the softs that they qualified on.
Yeah, most certainly. Well, let's see what they are going to be doing rest of the field. Looks like, top drivers, I think we've got, only one driver on the medium, it looks like, on Taz. That being of Gogs. Let's confirm that with the game, of course. I believe Taz would be correct. It wouldn't lie to us, would it? It might do. It might be evil. It might be trying to take us over. It might try and get us out of the job. Who knows? Let's find out, of course. I don't think it would do that. But let's see. We've got the top 10, of course. Pretty much everyone on those soft tyres. 20 seconds until we get ready to go. And let's just hope, Luke, we don't see what we've seen previously in other races where we get to the light and then the game decides it goes on strike. I think it might do that. Who knows?
I have seen Rich disconnect, so I am worried. Thankfully, no one read it up before Okiki, who is the division lobby host, who is the coordinator, so that means no 5-second penalties for that, and everyone looks to have filled in the test correctly. So no 5-second penalties or qualifying bans for that, but the drivers are now heading out. We'll be able to see what tyres they are going to be on for this race, and it is quite a mixture outside of the top 10 of mediums and softs, which, to be honest, I think in a full dry race you'd probably see something along those lines, so I'm not sure that tells us a lot.
Most certainly. Let's see what we can do, though. Remember, long race, rain expected. Now, I'm going to guess, Luke, and I wonder what your guess is. I think we're going to see weather start to come around about lap 22. What do you reckon?
I was going to go for early mid-20s, if I'm being perfectly honest. If it comes any later than that, when the rain starts to fall, you might be thinking, I could just survive on the tyres that I'm on. if you've already done a 2-stop. If you've only done a 1-stop and it starts raining with 5 or 6 laps to go, you are going to be praying to all the weather gods that the rain starts coming down a lot harder and everyone has to come into the pits, as Estimates has managed to get himself disqualified on a qualifying lap. Normally, there's 2 drivers that get disqualified. Another thing to watch out for in this race, which I don't think is something that we've talked about, but was mentioned in the pre-race interviews by one of the drivers, by the man starting in 8th, JM69, penalties have a big, big part. Look at the amount of invalidated laps we saw in qualifying, and if there's a late safety car and you've got quite a lot of penalties, you will find yourself dropping a long way down the field. Keeping it clean in terms of track limits could well be the order of the day here.
Yeah, it's always going to be a question, of course. I've seen previously in other drivers, other places, people getting around about 20 seconds, nearly every driver on the field getting more than 3 seconds. Let's see what we see today, of course. We've got the big talking points. You've got Tech, you got Pole, with the fastest lap, of course. No surprise there, either. He's got Pole with the fastest lap. Well, who knows? He might have got second fast. Well, he nearly got the second fastest lap by just over 14 thousandths quicker. So Tech on Pole, Colin in second, Casper in third, Risky going for a bit of a frisky day in fourth. Rich hopefully is going to go for a bit more energy than in fifth. Cloudy Balloons is hoping for the clouds to come down. Neon is hoping for just some shiny stuff there. And with the rest of the field lining up the back, we've got the Bannister down the back with Farf, who I believe had a qualifying ban. And let's get ready to go then here for those 5 red lights then. And when they go off, just a few moments time, we'll be ready to go then. 1, 2, 3, 4. When the 5th goes off, we're underway here in Canada. One season is ready to go. And it is going to be lights out and away we go then. Good start then from Tech. Good start there from the Racing Point there. And that is Oki then coming from the inside, trying to turn number 1. Can't do it. A little bit wide from Tech there. And look at the Racing Point there, trying to go around the outside then of 1-2 cars. We got Rogue in this as well, with all drivers trying to come through. As that's Casper, I think. I'm not sure if that's a glitch on my screen. I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's a ghosted car in second. I'm not sure if that's the game being a little bit buggy there.
I think it is. I think F1 2020 is doing what F1 2020 does. It is only lap 1 of the race, but Casper...
It is
but
Casper.
All top 3 drivers got a pretty good start. Casper getting the better one, though. He's now got himself up into second place. Gogs having a bit of a nightmare on the mediums. He seems to have dropped a bit further back. We'll see if anyone's actually picked up damage. Gogs has actually got quite a lot of front wing damage, 44% on that right-hand side, so he'll be coming into the pits on this lap. And there's a Ferrari round, and it is Cam came on.
That's the last thing he wanted. It's going from bad to worse. Can you have a worse start of a season so far? It's the luck of the racing gods, and it looks like the American here in Canada is having no luck whatsoever. The Star-Spangled Banner is being attacked here in Canada. But right now up front, it's Tech leading from Casper, who had a stonking start from, I think, 4th on the grid. Here comes Risky passing Colin there. Up there, Rich is out of this session already, and he's retired in the pit lane, I believe. Is that not? Indeed, he has. So, should not be a safety car, but 1 retirement already on that one here in One Hub Racing here in Formula 1. And already, we have issues potentially. Luckily, though, he's retired in the pit lane instead of on circuit.
Yeah, I wonder if Rich knew he was having connection issues, so thought it was fairer to just maybe retire from the race. Cam K. Mom's had his pit stop. He's on a set of medium tyres. He's definitely going to have to... Well, we know he has to come in again before the end of the race, but he definitely will on that set of mediums. And this could be medium hard he'll be going for now, or 2 mediums, and then a set of intermediate tyres at the end of the race. We'll just have to wait and see. But Tech Racing trying to get away, obviously, in these early stages, trying to break that 1 second window. DRS, exceptionally powerful around this circuit with 3 DRS straights will easily gain you 2 to 3 tenths of second a lap, which makes a big difference with it, as I saw in qualifying, being a sub 70 second lap in flat out conditions with lots of low fuel. And Rich is confirming that it was connection issues have forced him to retire, and I think we're seeing a move further down the order. Apex Rogue gets ahead of Jonas Ulrich, so he's now up into 11th. Estimate's not looking too bad in 9th place, and Colin losing a place again into turn 1. Has he just having problems coming out of the Wall of Champions chicane, or is he just a bit slow in a straight line, I wonder?
Well, it's always possible, of course. That last chicane, if you might be taking a bit more conservative than other drivers. You can gain a lot more time than you think through that, if you could do it right. But remember, of course, penalties are so easy through that last chicane, so maybe Colin is just being more conservative. Like, as you mentioned, Rich having some connecty issues, unfortunately. That is the reason he is out of the session already on that one. Cam in the barriers, he is hoping for a miracle. We have Gogs also in the pit. Of course, he, we believe, also had damage as well. So, a few drivers with a few issues. I'm just looking at Colin and I'm wondering if he's going to drop back again. You can see, not really looking very speedy out of the corners, and behind him, looks like Neon might go and get a nice line here. And Colin has the DRS, luckily, on Cloudy Balloons, who's had an incredible start. So, let's see what they can do. Indeed, confirmation that we are having rain at the end of this race. Though, just exactly how close to the end is a different kettle of fish. It looks like a bit better this time from Colin, so maybe it was just a small mistake there as he locks up immediately into turn 1 when I say that. Moving down the field, though, a little bit of a pack mule right now. A few drivers starting to get close to go, but the DRS train starting to hold up. But it is a top 2. We really haven't spoken of them much. It's Tech, really dominating so far at the front of this field. We're only on lap 4. The top 2, remember second, that's a penalty already. I've got, what, about a 3-4 second lead? Is that not already, Luke?
Yeah, they do seem to be flying away at the moment. I think they're both using quite a lot of their ERS as well. Casper's at about 22%, Tech Racing's about 30%. You compare that to Speed Risky, he's got about 60% at the moment. He might want to consider using a bit down this next straight, though, because Cloudy Balloons is right on the back of him, just loses a bit in the dirty air, using some of his ERS, and I think we could see here this getting very close between them. Drag reduction system open on that Red Bull. Ferrari versus Red Bull. If there was a McLaren in there, it'd be like the early 2010s here, and he's not close enough to have a go. That is a very early pit stop from Risky. Into the pits at the end of lap 4. Surely this is going to be for a set of the medium tyres. Very aggressive undercut.
Well, yeah, you can imagine a set of medium tyres. Let's have a little look and see. Medium tyres, I believe that is kept confirmed medium tyres, so you are right. I'd have considered maybe they'd try and put a set of hards on and then just try and stretch until the intermediates. That is always a possibility, actually, and it's a fair point. If it is meant to rain, why would you not put a set of hards on? It can do about, it could do from lap 5 to theoretically lap 35, and you would have to count on the rain to come. But it is a question of, will some drivers try that, you reckon?
It's a tough one. I think if the pit lane was longer and you lost more time in the pits, I think it'd be a bit of a no-brainer. But around this circuit, as I've just seen Okiki go very close towards the barrier, I think he might have given it a bit of a love tap there. It's almost like if you've been called out in the driver's press conference or in the hot and cold, you're having a bit of a nightmare start of the race at the moment. I think it's pretty much Cloudy Balloons and Risky were the only two with their rivalry who were sort of going against the trend. But it might be worth it, but I reckon by the time you've done 15 laps on the medium tyres compared to 15 laps on the hards, you might have almost made up a pit stop. So it's up to whether you think you can do that. Obviously, if you do go for an extra pit stop, you've got to fight your way through the traffic. And if you're in a DRS train, that could be very difficult.
Yeah, indeed, already. 4 drivers with 3-second penalties, that being Casper in 2nd. We've got Okiki in 7th. We've got Farf, who's come from the back of the grid, now up to 10th in 10th. We've got Jonah with another 3-second time penalty, as well as, I say that, Okiki's just going to dot himself another 3-second time penalty to just to tell me that no, just now it's only 3 drivers with 3-second time penalties. So never mind, 1 driver is 6 seconds so far. Like you said earlier, Luke, penalties are going to be a very interesting momentum swing around this circuit. This race could be decided on penalties. We've seen it before in real life, to be fair, so anything can happen. But look at this gaggle of cars. We've got that 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, all kind of that little battle right now. The top 2 running away. There is Akiki, almost just drops it on the curb.
Yeah, he's not enjoying himself at the moment. Obviously, he's stuck in this dirty air. Might just be overheating his tyres ever so slightly as we do get up his tyre stats at the moment. 42% on his rear left tyre, 43% that goes up to now compared to the car in front of him. It's on about 38%. Cloudy Balloon seems to be murdering his tyres at the moment. He's almost 50% on this rear left at this moment in time, but it seems to be working for him. We've seen now Colin and Neon come into the pits, medium tyres on both of them. See where they come out. They should come out well clear of Goggs, who has set the fastest lap of the race at this moment in time. And let's not forget, if you're inside the top 10, you set the fastest lap inside the top 10, you get a point. Fastest lap outside the top 10 also gets a point as well. So there's always something to play for, no matter where you are in this race. Indeed,
most certainly. Top 2, like, getting closer together. We believe this could be an interesting battle. I'm wondering if we're going to see an undercut strategy. Surely Casper's going to try an undercut. Maybe this lap? it could be a possibility, but he is closing right up on the back of Tech, and surely it's a no-brainer to try an undercut strategy right now.
I think it's one of those where you either... Do you want to lose for DRS? I think you've got to... Normally, I'd say do the opposite. I think you've got to either undercut or pit on the same lap as Tech Racing. And I'm very surprised seeing as Tech didn't dive into the pits then. And Casper didn't follow, although he might be able to try and make a move out on track here. They're both fairly low on DRS. That would have been a bit of a dive into turn one as things go from bad to worse for Okiki. He's got 6 seconds of track limit penalties. He's now got 5 seconds for speeding in a pit lane. We said the pit lane entry was something to watch out for as Risky gets his first warning. But I think the best battle out on track, we've got Farf and Waitsy here, absolutely tooth and nail for the last couple of laps. And now Rogue's trying to join in on an older set of soft tyres, so he's probably going to fall back. But the Mercedes and the Alfa Romeo, which has just clipped the wall, really going at it here.
Yeah, these guys all having an incredible battle here. We've got Mercedes Alfa, the Renault, and we've got the Alfa Tauri down there in 7th position. I'm just keeping an indicator on the top guys as well on my mini-map whilst I keep an eye on this battle as well. A small lock up there for one of the drivers through that corner, a little bit wide as well for the Renault. And these drivers are pushing it pretty hard, aren't they, right now? They're getting to the track limits, and these guys aren't really too far away from Esty either. I mean, we've got a huge bunch of cars within a small window of opportunity, and I'm seeing here, let's see if the Alfa Romeo can try and sliver it up the inside, then overspeed, going down the inside. Should easily be able to do this one then. The Mercedes, not going to put up too much of a fight, though I say that. Added a little bit of a half shot, bad exit, and here comes the Renault, and that's exactly why you really want to just try and either get overtaken early through there, or you're going to lose positions. Is exactly what he's done. He's dropped 1 position then to the Renault on those, remember, softer compound tyres. And it's all different strategies right now then.
Yeah, it is. You would have expected the soft tyres on Apex to have worse grip at the moment than the mediums on Farf, but I think such a bad exit from Farf trying to fight back wasn't able to. And with there only being 1 detection point for those 2 DRS straights, it meant the Alfa Romeo of Waitsy still had the DRS, and Farf just had to try and defend with the ERS that he's got, which at the moment is 3%, so that's a lot about how his race is going. We did see the pit stop from what were the 2 lead cars.
Oh, we've got a car on the wall, that's a Mercedes! Sorry to cut over that, that's Farf, and that's a heavy impact in the wall. And he's dropped it on the curb there, and that is the virtual safety car. That made me jump, I probably made you jump then, as into the wall. And that, unfortunately, is the end of one car's race, and we always thought we might see an incident today, and he's already out of the session. Big impact. And that is just Canada being very aggressive indeed.
Yeah, I wonder whether we'll see a few pit stops from the leaders now. SD Max has come into the pits, Apex Rogue doing it as well, and I think it makes perfect sense for him as we see a few drivers getting track limit penalties there, which shows you how tough this track is, that even under a VSC, it's possible. DRS has been re-enabled. Speed Risky, he's now in the net lead of this race. Yes, he has a lot older tyres than Tech and Casper, but he's in the lead, so that's a bit of bad news for Tech 31 Racing. What is also bad news for him, he got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He will have to serve that at his next pit stop. Yeah,
it's all turning into this moment here. We're getting penalties, we're getting issues, of course. No, we mentioned it earlier, how many penalties are we going to see today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers still not to get penalties. There's still another, what, 20 odd laps to go. 25 laps to be fair, to go in this race. We've got now 4th, 3rd, battling away potentially in a few moments' time. We've got the top 2 we expect to come in around about lap 15, I believe.
Yeah, I think we'll see. If we see it a bit earlier, that's pretty much nailing your flags to a normal 2-stop and then just doing an extra pit stop at the end of the race. So we will see what they do. Speed Risky, I was a bit surprised when he came in that early on, so he's a definite soft, medium strategy. Tech and Casper could probably stretch it to soft, medium, soft if they wanted to. If they really wanted to stretch the set of medium tyres, they can do 19 laps. So if it starts raining around about lap 25, 26, they might be able to take them long enough to put on a set of intermediates. You don't want to risk a puncture, though. It is always a bit of a lottery. Once the tyre wear hits above 70, 75%, you never know if or when your tyre might go. But I'd say, judging by the pace they were showing earlier on, these front 2 drivers, well, Tech and Casper, they're now 4th and 5th. They're not in a bad situation, but can the Renault work his way past the Ferrari of Risky and use the grip he's got on those 4-lap pressure tyres?
Yeah, it's always going to be interesting. Meanwhile, further down the back of the field, we haven't seen much of these guys down the back, but we've got Bannister holding on for dear life, is he, right now, because he's got Cam trying to climb all over him. So this is going to be interesting. I'm going to make puns all season about this, by the way, now, because that's going to happen. But let's see. Cam trying to find his way past Bannister and try and climb himself up to Gogs in 13th position. Rogue is running a very, well, I'd say quiet right now, to be fair. He's currently 12th. Got a few bit of cars ahead. By the way, Gogs has still got the first lap in this race. He is the only driver on the soft compound right now. So let's see what we can see later on. We expect him to come in probably around about lap 10, and then he's going to... Surely he's going to have to put a set of hards on, because I don't see how a medium set's going to get him any further on in this race. They'll run out still at the end, won't they?
I don't think they will last, but if he knows it's going to rain, and if it's expected to rain fairly hard, he might know that he doesn't need them to last. We're all making a few predictions here, but it's looking very fine at the moment as Apex Road picks up a 3-second time penalty, which I think means we're now down to 5 drivers out of 16, and we're only a third of the way through the race who haven't got a penalty. This could be very risky. We've had a VSC, a full safety car would put some other drivers like Cloudy Balloons right back into the fight, although at the moment I think he's too bothered with the fight behind him. He's got Neon, JM69 and Okiki just hanging in this battle for 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th, and Colin, apart from the first couple of laps of the race where he seemed to struggle with pace coming out of the chicane, not doing too bad now. He's almost on the back of Risky, Tech and Casper as we've had a move into the final chicane for the lead of this race. Lambie has got ahead of Waitsy, but the Alfa Romeo trying to fight back, doesn't have the DRS, has to just stay behind.
Yeah, these 3-4... So we've got really kind of like a three-way group battle right now. We've got first and second in the battle. We've got third, fourth, fifth having the battle. We've got... Well, I suppose we've got lots more battles going on through the field. Everyone's wanting to battle right now. Look at this. This is what Formula 1 should be. Cars battling everywhere. We've got Jonah and Cam down the back, we believe, battling. I think that's because Gogs has just come in the pit lane. I'm wondering what tyres he'll go on. The game will give us a little bit of a thing. I've just been told to look at the interview the interval between both the drivers, in which case I shall do so. There is a mistake there from third position. Now fourth. Might be fifth now. It's a small mistake here. Look at Tecklin going down the inside into the hairpin of the Ferrari. Got the Racing Point trying to come through. Then of Casper. And now everything's becoming unglued right now in this race. Look at this. One small mistake from one driver. And all of a sudden everything's kicking off. Here comes now. Almost going to be 3 wide then down the back. Look at this. Racing Point, Williams, Alfa Romeo then. And it's the Williams then getting up the inside there. The Alfa... comes in the pit lane. Now the Red Bull, I think, is just running to the back of the that car as well. I think potential damage. Maybe he might have got away with it. Look at this kind of scrap here is now down the inside goes the Red Bull. And this is all turning a little bit questionable. This is all really getting a bit close. I don't know what's going to happen here, Luke. But this is certainly getting a little bit frisky right now.
Yeah, it is indeed. Tech, though, taking the lead in this race. He has got very minor front wing damage, as has the Red Bull of Cloudy Balloons, I think, just from that contact. Well, this all started because the 3 trains that we were seeing out on track all sort of concentrated together as one. Waitsy decided, I don't want to get involved, I just want to head into the pits. And unfortunately for him, he got a 5-second pit lane speeding penalty while doing that, which now means we're down to only 3 drivers who have kept it completely clean with penalties. But look at this, 1st to 8th place, all in one long train. At this moment in time, we still believe it is going to rain at the end of the race, and we've got no real idea who's going to take the victory. Yes, Tech led in qualifying and got pole position. He's leading the race now, but one slight mistake, we saw that from the Alfa Romeo of Waitsy, you can fall a long way down the order.
He most certainly can. This is where you are on the edge of the seat. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Really, almost 9th isn't too far away as well. So, this is really now getting the buck between your teeth. 3 different real strategies. We've got drivers on lap 6. We've had drivers who are on their 10th lap. We've got 5 laps as well. Really, everyone's on just different lap times as Okiki now gets himself another penalty. And that is, I believe, how many penalties is that now for him? Let's see, that is 17 seconds, and was it 30 seconds until you really get that's it, you're done. So he's going to have to look onto it as Gog's another set of soft tyres then, and well, surely is he just going to carry on setting softs until it rains potentially, or is he going to set mediums at some point, I reckon?
I think he's just enjoying himself at the moment, or he knows something that we don't, and it's going to start raining a lot quicker than we thought it was going to do. Tech's starting to get away from Risky, up ahead of him, nearly outside of DRS range. Colin, I think, would have been hoping he would have been outside of DRS range, because Colin has a lot more electrical energy at this moment in time. As you said, there is a lot of different tyre lives in this front train. It is Tech, Casper and JM who have the best tyres, and I said Colin was looking pretty good. Casper's looking very good. Down the inside of one. Is he going to try and go down the inside of two? Surely that's not going to work. The Racing Point nearly spins around now. Risky losing a bit on traction as his medium start to wear, and all this battling is just going to allow the Renault to get ahead. And somehow, after all those moves, as Casper takes a trip across the Sebastian Vettel grass section, we've still got the same top four.
Well, this is all getting rather spicy right now. They just don't want to let each other go. I mean, they're just battling hard, fighting for the tail, and they've definitely got it in between them right now. And let's see what they can do. Further back, we've got the likes of the other Racing Point of Neon. Not too far away from this. Bannister, a 3-second time penalty as well. So that now puts it down to 2 drivers without penalty. That being Jonah and Gogs. Right, sorry, that's Cam and Gogs down the back. We've both not got penalties so far in this race. So let's see. Then DRS train again. Let's see. Colin should have the line of Risky then. Let's see if he tries to make a move. All 3 of them low on ERS. I'm just seeing, not going to try one down the inside into this corner. Might get a good exit and then try one down the inside there. Risky in the wall there. He's a little bit too risky on the exit of that one. Front right end plate torn off. And that's going to be a long way back to the pit lane then. Round the outside goes the William. Round the outside goes the Racing Point. And that now is basically going to be his race in very much an issue. He's going to have to hope now, of course, that he can get back to the pit lane and then put that another set on. He should be able to still recover, of course, because a lot of other drivers to make stops still. But he's going to be in a real bit of spot and bother for a few moments.
Yeah, he is indeed. I mean, if he pits now, he'll come out probably round about where his teammate is down in 14th position. Neon gets ahead of him. Cloudy Balloons managed to get ahead into turn 6 and 7 as well with that broken front wing. But you can put a medium set on now and just about get them towards the end of the race. You will be struggling with grip, and this is the disadvantage with this strategy that Risky has gone for. Everyone else was coming up behind him on fresher tyres. He's had to use more VRS. Now you can see he's down in 7th place, and I don't think it'll be too long before Okiki makes that an 8th position for the Ferrari driver. It was looking really good for him just one lap ago, but they say a lot of things can change in Formula 1. A minute is a long time in motor racing, and there we go. Risky now down into 8th place and into the pits for his second and final compulsory stop. If the rain changes, though, he might be coming in one more time.
Yeah, it's really unlucky there. Just one small mistake. Got that rear end. It's pretty much what we saw with Farf earlier on. The rear end suddenly steps out. Luckily, he managed to somehow catch it. I mean, he still went into the wall, but he caught it instead of it swapping around, which is so easy to do. By the way, look at Colin coming all the way back towards Tech, and he is flying right now. He's got a lot more ERS. He's pushing a lot harder. He's not using the ERS whilst Tech is, of course. That's why his Tech is pulling away slightly. But it's playing the long game. It's playing mind games right now. You are in the first race of the season. Look at the clouds, by the way. They're starting to come over. Very slowly, might we say, right now. But the clouds are definitely starting to come over. The track temperature is still saying at 20 degrees of the air temperature. The track temperature now is finally saying 29 degrees, which is good to see. But the top 2, and this could be an opportunity here, is see Colin up the inside. And it should be a relatively easy move then there. And I say that, comes into the pit though, so it's Tech. So, well, I suppose it was an easy move in the end there.
Yeah, I think Tech suffering from a bit less severe damage to what Speed Risky was, but it just shows how much he was struggling. I think that was the problem. He'd just be scrubbing off a lot of speed, understeering through all the chicanes really, especially some of the higher speed ones like you see in the first part of this lap. So now Colin's in the lead of this race. Casper's behind him. Cloudy, Neon, JM, Okiki have just dropped back ever so slightly as Tech is going to come out, I believe, round about where Jonas Ulbricht is. In fact, he's probably going to be a bit behind him. He might be pretty close with the Ferraris here. Speed Risky. I don't think he was planning to pull off this undercut, but he has done indeed. Tech in the end a long way behind these cars. He's down in 15th position. Now, can he get his tyres towards the end of the race as well? And I've just realised why his pit stop was slower. He did, of course, have to serve that penalty.
In the wall. Who's that gone in the wall? That's a Williams. Is that a Williams? That's Okiki.
Okiki.
Now, that's exactly what Farf has done. Now, I'm wondering if he's got damage. He doesn't want to be parked here. Oh, is that a reset? I don't know if that was a reset or not then. I think that might have been, or the game reset him there. But, a small issue. Yep, front left end plate's gone. Luckily, no safety car as he now goes off the circuit, getting out the way of 1, 2, 3 drivers. Oh, he's coming back on circuit there! And he really does get himself right in the way. It's a pit stop here, we coming in. And look, here is now Tech gets involved in all this. He's going to pass one. He should be able to pass Okiki's coming in the pit lane. Then he's got Cam's up the road. Okiki does not look happy. A small mistake there. In comes Cam as well. Oh, he's hit Cam in the pits. And contact there. And, well, it's not going very well there. Cam in the pit lane. Luckily, no damage for him. But Okiki straight into the rear. More damage to him. I think also a 5-second time penalty to add to his miseries. And if it can go from bad, it can go to worse.
Yeah, it's just things obviously going pretty wrong there for all them drivers. Casper's now in the net lead of this race because he didn't have the penalties. Of course, he's done 2 stops. Colin's done 2 stops. JM has done 2. He's just dropped off the back of these guys. Now, I think they're pitted earlier in anticipation of the rain. They might as well use more of these tyres. Cloudy Balloons and Neon. Well, Cloudy Balloons decides to stay out. Neon comes into the pits. I wonder whether Cloudy is thinking stay out a bit longer and then put a set of softs on.
Yeah, it's always a possibility. Let's see what they can do, of course. Soft tyres right at the end. It's a good idea to do it. So let's see what the strategy is going to be. But let's find out. ST second, Rogue in third, Prim in 4th position, hoping not to be made a shepherd's pie by the rest of the field like Casper and Whiteley. Colin in 7th, of course. He is currently net 2nd position, we believe, in this field. JM is net 3rd in this field, so really quite a few drivers have lost huge gains in this race, haven't they? As Whiteley is battling away with Colin right now. That's the battle for, 6th and 7th as Colin now getting the DRS. He's going to go to the inside. A little bit of grass for the extra measure. Down the inside then. And the Alfa Romeo, rather not putting up too much of a fight. Here comes JM's going to get straight past, I reckon, straight away. Indeed, he will. It's like taking candy from a baby right now, isn't it?
Yeah, but smartly, he's decided to stay back a bit then, because if he'd have accelerated fully, he wouldn't have got the DRS, I don't think, off the back of Colin. So waits a bit. Now he's got the DRS. In fact, Waitsy has got it as well. But JM up into 7th place. Waitsy did fight a bit in the Alfa Romeo, especially into turns 6 and 7. And all of a sudden, Colin, from being right on the back of Casper when they came into the pits, as he now picks up a 3-second time penalty, he's now about 2 seconds behind Casper, and he has an extra 3 seconds. All of a sudden, that Racing Point, who looked a bit twitchy in qualifying, he's doing things right, and he's keeping it on track in 5th place at this moment in time. Looking very handy indeed. Just needs to keep it clean, just needs to keep it calm, and it still looks like beautiful conditions here, and we're expecting some rain in the next 14 laps.
Well, basically what this indicates is going to rain around about lap 28 then. So the cloud is definitely coming over. You can see there as I'm bored with Esty as I swivel the camera around to get a nice side view. You can see the black clouds, especially on the right over the Expo Centre, I believe that is there. So rain, well, definitely darker skies on the horizon. The whether or not it will get here in time is another question for the weather. And, well, let's find out, of course, for that. Down the back, Okiki after that mistake earlier on, not having the best of races for him. Cam as well, really not making inroads where he'd imagine he wanted to do earlier on. By the way, in terms of drivers who have made a lot of positions, we are still expecting a few drivers to make their final stops, remember? But Lamb up 10 positions. Real loser is Tech, who's down 11, but I expect him to come back through when others make their final stops. So a few drivers making a few gains, but we can't really talk about that until we get right at the end, can we?
No, still a few pit stops to make. I mean, Casper shows that he's lost a couple of places at the moment. Really, he'll gained by the time we see the pit stops. Gogs has come in. He's put another set of softs on. He's just having some fun at the moment. He's fully going for that fastest lap point, and I can't really blame him at this moment in time. He's going to get it outside the top 10, inside the top 10. It is currently being held by Colin, but that could change. That could change as different people come into the pits. The fact that Cloudy is staying out on track makes me think he is going for a set of the soft tyres. He'll come out round about where Visky is at this moment in time. He just decided to carry on another lap, so come out round about where Visky and Tech Racing are, but he'll be on a much fresher set of rubber, and that could be really helpful as well when it starts, or if it does start raining by the end of this race, because the softs will just retain their heat slightly better.
Yeah, most certainly. Meanwhile, third, fourth and fifth getting a bit close together. This is Casper. He knows right now he's on better strategy. He knows right now he's got it all really to lose, I suppose, to be fair. He is leading this race. He is on the strategy that is taking him to the next, what? So his tyres will be around about, what? 14, 15, 16 laps old at the end of this. He's trying to get past Rogue. He's hit Rogue as he got damaged the front of that car. I'm wondering potentially it might just be slight damage. I don't think it's definitely not heavy enough there. But look behind now, all of a sudden is the Williams trying to go down the inside. Colin there had a little sniff of and a little sliver of hope there. Couldn't quite do it. Casper saying no, passing. And firmly shots that one off. Is now Casper then down the inside into the hairpin then. The camera, if it'll work with me, might go and show the end of the overtake. Indeed it does there on the exit. Though I say that, the Renault still side by side on the exit though. Now dipping back to the slipstream. Now with the DRS we go then. And remember, Rogue with more ERS than Casper just blast back past. So the Renault back past again. And this really just helping Colin just sitting behind, because remember, as long as he is not getting involved in this battle, Casper's just wearing his tyres up.
Wearing his tyres out, going over the track limits as well, and now he's on 6 seconds of penalties, as is Colin behind him. So now they're pretty much, as you see them, out on track. Neon's got a bit deep into turn 2. I've come on to board with that a bit late. Neon's gone deep into turn 2 as he's battling with Waitsy, and they've got Risky behind them. So Waitsy, he's not afraid of getting involved with some of these faster cars, as Casper looks to have finally got past Rogue. Just has he got a bit deep, and can Colin try and follow through? This time he has got that Williams onto the inside line. Rogue is still trying to fight and hold this off, but it should be Colin's corner into 8 and 9, and there we go, Colin up into 5th. Important that he follows the cars that are making that Casper passes as soon as possible, and also important for JM as well, who I've just noticed only has 3 seconds of penalties. So the Haas, you know, things looking pretty handy for him at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's, well, you could say that is going well instead of hasn't gone well then. Meanwhile, Casper looking for that third position, just taking nice and smooth. In comes, I believe, that's Esty in the pit lane, is that not? Cloudy Balloon stays out for yet another lap. The weather, though, looking above, not looking that bad. Up the inside, then comes the Racing Point. Down the inside he goes, then squeezes the AlphaTauri out then. Relatively easy manoeuvre then in the end, I suppose, because we are still waiting for that one more stop for a few of these drivers. We've got Lamb still to come in. We've got the leader still to come in as well. Is now here comes Colin. A little dive up the inside, I reckon, into this corner. Nice little sneaky one down the inside. Quite easy as well. So it looks like those tyres are definitely gone then on Lamprin, as now JM gets past up the inside as well. And it is now just going back, and back. I'm wondering, is he just trying to pray now? These guys are surely praying for the weather to come in right now. And look at the sky. It's getting dark. But the question is, though, with, what, 10 laps to go, it's got to rain really about... It's got to start raining in the next 2 laps if they want to get those intermediate tyres on.
Yeah, I think Lamrogue and Waitsy can probably do it. Cloudy Balloons has got to come into the pits, and he has done. He's at risk of getting a puncture. If he'd have gone on any longer, if he's done 19 laps, and that's the data we've had, said you could only do 19 laps. I think he would have been fine to do at least a couple more, but he's into the pits on the soft tyres. If it starts raining in the next couple of laps, he will be kicking himself, because he won't be able to use the full pace of those soft tyres to their advantage. He's going to come out, I think, just ahead of where his teammate is, and just behind this massive battle that is currently going on for 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th.
Yeah, Tech ran the outside, I think there was that as well, into turn number 1 and 2 there. So Tech then up to 8th position. He was leading this race from earlier on. He's well down the order right now. This is the interesting situation of just the stops, just where everyone comes in. The man who really was on pole position right down here in 8th. So hoping for you few positions to come through. Cloudy Balloons, I think, just got past the car behind as well, and Whiteley, as Cloudy Balloons also gets a 3-second time penalty. And we'll talk about the penalties in a little bit as well, because there's a few of them, isn't there?
There's a few. I think we were expecting that. Goggs, to be fair, given the pace he's been showing with the fastest laps after fastest lap, he's done very well to keep it clean at the moment. So bravo to him. O'Keefe's now coming and put a set of soft tyres. It has been a nightmare race for him in the Williams. Estimax gets ahead of Jonas. There's quite a few different battles happening out on track, and Apex Rogues decided he can't wait it out on those medium tyres, and he is coming into the pits. Lambie, he might be in a very good position at this moment in time. He's got a few seconds back to Risky behind him. He knows he has to come into the pits again. If it rains heavy, this is fantastic strategy for him. If it doesn't rain heavy, he might not get any points whatsoever.
Yeah, especially look at the gang of the cars behind me. You got, what's that, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th position. A bit of a gap down to 9th for them. We got 10th, who just stopped just a few seconds ago, coming up to this battle as well on those soft tyres. So SD looking like if he's not going to rain, he could be in a shot of getting quite a few positions here, as long as he keeps a look over those tyres, because if these guys continue to battle, remember, as Cloudy Balloons on those soft tyres should really be wanting to make some moves here. Well, there's one who's going to get past. There is Tech, who's now demoted back down to 8th position down the inside. Look how suddenly it's got so dark above the circuit here. And I'm just looking at seeing any potential. It's now officially overcast then, so rain on the way then. As up front you can see Risky passing Neon there. Well, Neon trying to get past Risky. These two battling away then right now. And look here, behind the Red Bull now going to come through. They're going to try and make it free wide into turn number 1. Oh, they touched down there into turn number 1 there. And these two are getting very close. Round the outside there goes the Red Bull. And let's see, now that's the inside line on the exit. Nice and smooth through there. But look at the sky, Luke. Dark, 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 and even more dark.
Yeah, dark, 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 but 7 laps to go. That's only about 8 and a bit minutes to go in this race. Is it going to rain enough so they need the intermediate tyres at all? There's been a move at the front of the field. Colin did manage to get past Casper, but unfortunately for him, he got a penalty in doing so. Cloudy Balloons has just got past Neon. He's up into 5th position. He's going to be back on the back of Lamb very shortly. If he can get that move done quickly, he might even have the pace to almost get onto the back of these front 3 drivers, as now Tech gets ahead of Risky. Fantastic driving, I must say, from Cloudy Balloons to work his way through the field. Just noticed Risky's missing his right end plate, so I think that's the 2nd time he's lost that in this race. Less than ideal for him. He's now going to start dropping down the order. It's not been a fantastic race for Ferrari, but who knows? We might see something very interesting happening now. 6 laps to go. It's getting more and more overcast. Air temperature back down to what we saw in qualifying, back down to 19 degrees, but the rain is just holding off for now.
The rain holding off for now. And this is kind of the edge of the seat moment for some drivers. If it rains, is it going to be heavy enough? Are we going to see that situation where I talked about earlier, where it might just get suddenly wet enough right at the end? I'm not too sure if it is going to suddenly start raining, but we'll find out. I'm just looking on board at some of the drivers. Meanwhile, we've got the top 3, 4... Well, we've got the top 3 altogether right now. That, of course, being Colin, Casper, JM. Now, in terms of penalties, Colin with 9 seconds, 6 for Casper, 3 for JM. He is in the pound seat right now for a victory if he doesn't get penalties, and it's raining. Here comes the rain then. It's starting to spit on board. We are then with JM, and now this is going to put a sudden bucket in this race, hasn't it? As look at the top 2 then going together. Casper down the inside, back into the lead ahead of Colin.
Yeah, back into the lead. He went a bit deep, though, into that corner. He's going to have the DRS versus the ERS of Colin here, and JM's got both at the moment, so he might be able to have a fight. Not able to do so. Cloudy Balloons, he might be able to go a bit longer than some of the other drivers. I think Lambie, he's probably going to be the first driver to come in as Risky, and Waitsy coming to the pits as well. This seems very early for a set of the intermediate tyres, but that is what they're going for. That is intermediates. I believe, is it on the Ferrari? No, it's actually... No, I do apologise. It's another set of slick tyres going onto that Ferrari. So this could turn out terribly for him. Waitsy has gone for a set of intermediates, and it does look to have got a lot wetter very quickly here, but I still think we're probably a bit too early for that. Looking on the rear view of some of the cars, we're not seeing a lot of spray, but maybe it's just worth doing that. If it does obviously start coming with heavy rain as soon as you pass the pits, you're going to have one big struggle of a lap.
Well, let's see. Of course, you can see the car starting to squirm around ever so slightly. So, really, I think they're all going to come in this next lap, Luke. I think that's going to be an ideal thing. I reckon that's when the DRS is closed. Let's find out. Normally, it depends on how heavy it is coming down. It does look heavy right now. But look, here is JM. Trill trying to close up. Colin doesn't look like he's got much of an answer for Casper, who's leading this race. Really, this is the ideal situation for Casper, to have that gap between him and JM, because now he might not be leading this race on pure aggregate, but he has a gap, and now he just needs to try and open it and hope for a battle behind.
Yeah, I mean, Casper, to be fair, his last lap was only about a second slower than his fastest lap. Some of that's going to be down to tyre wear on 12-lap-old tyres, as Lammy now gets a penalty as well, and he's really just hoping that, I think the next lap we'll probably see the Alpha Tauri come into the pits. Looking at Waitsy, he's not gaining any time at the moment. I still don't think we're quite at the stage where intermediate tyres are ready. Risky's coming in again now for a set of soft tyres, so he's going for the fastest lap of the race all of a sudden. Like I said, it's brilliant when the drivers don't know what to do. Do you stay out? Do you hang on a set of slick tyres, which for now, I think probably looks like the best, unless the rain properly comes down in the next lap or two. I think you'll be better out just staying on the tyres you're on. Or do you come into the pits? Because DRS has still been activated, and that is usually a good sign from in-game Michael Massey. He's pretty hot at calling the changeover point.
Well, let's see. Cloudy Balloons then trying to get fourth position. In comes fourth. Lamprinz, he's had enough then. So he's surely going to go for the intermediate tyres. Unless he's going to go for a soft. But now if it suddenly chucks it down, he is absolutely buggered. And let's see, what tyres is that there? Is that a set of softs? I mean, yeah, a set of soft tyres. So he's going for it. And he doesn't think it's going to weigh heavy enough. Let's see, Cam Holloway's got himself back to near the back of the points then. So a recovery drive and a half for him. I'm just wondering, of course, the leader, big twitch of oversteer there for the race leader. We're almost into the wall. And they're all starting to struggle here. We've got just over 2 laps to go. Right now is the bit between your teeth moment. And we're going to find out who is a racing driver, who is the man of the moment. And what are these racing drivers made of right now? This is the conditions which proves the champions from the rest of the field. Riley's out of this race. He's retired in the pit lane, I believe that is. So he hasn't hit the wall. He's a lucky pup if he has. And maybe got some damage, but he is out. Casper leads this race. Still then from Colin. JM starting to drop back crucially low now. So the gap's starting to form between these drivers. Cloudy Balloon's in fourth position. He's got Neon all over him right now as he just grazes the wall on the exit of the last corner.
Yeah, he does indeed. This is going to be fantastic to close. Waitsy, he went for the intermediates. He lost about 10 seconds in 2 laps. I mean, last lap around, Casper, 1:13.5, 2 seconds slower than his personal best. It's not rained hard enough. The rain has only come right at the last minute, and it's just a thing that is bad luck, obviously, for Lambie. He came so close to being a hero. He's still going to get points in this race. Points obviously going down to the top 12 here, and that means Goggs, with his fantastic strategy of just burning up every set of soft tyres possible, looks like he's on for some points here. We've got a yellow flag in sector 1, and I think that's just Okiki who is around. I saw Williams on the map, and I got a bit worried for the leader of this race. Although Casper, he's only 0.7 seconds when you consider penalties. He's only about 0.6, 0.7 behind JM at this moment in time. So if he pushes everything on this lap, he could still take this victory. It's getting very close. It's
getting very close indeed there. And again, Akiki just having a day to forget really right now. Nearly a minute down, of course. Never say never, of course. The race is, of course, you can have your off weeks. You have your on weeks. The first race of the season, it's difficult conditions. Cloudy Balloon and Neon, by the way, battling away. And that's Neon now up into fourth position. He's passed there. He got a yellow flag down the back. I'm wondering if that was a little bit of a timing moment there, potentially. Again, though, up front, rain, and rain. The drivers on those dry tyres, they're pushing on hard, they're pushing hard, fast, furious, aggressive. It's looking good, though. We're not going to see a Canada 2011 moment here, though. Casper holding on for it right now. But look how slippery it is out there for these drivers. They've just got to tiptoe it around. I think it's still just going to be about who's going to keep it on the island. Yellow flags again there. I think that might be Akiki again, still struggling. But Casper, 2 corners to go. He's got 1 hairpin, 1 small lock-up for good measure as well. The tyres are squealing, the tyres are cold. It's raining here in Montreal, it's raining, it's pouring. The old man might be snoring. Certainly not for Casper, though, because he's coming through the last two corners then. Down the Casio straight he comes. Look behind as the battle goes on between JM and Colin. Casper through the last corner. Is he going to win this race? It's going to be awfully close if he can. He crosses the line. He takes the victory. I think JM might just do it, though. He's only second in the end. I think maybe a penalty right at the final death of the nail. But JM and Colin in second and third. It's going to be Neon in fourth. Cloudy in fifth. Detect in sixth. ST's going to finish seventh. We've got, Tech down all the way, then with a penalty. Rogue across the line. He'll finish in eighth. Lamb in ninth. Jonah is going to finish 10th. Cam just couldn't do it in the end in 11th. Grogs, by the way, no penalties either.
No, very good job from Grogs. JM's problem, he got too close to the back of Colin. Colin, I think, made a slight mistake. JM had half a chance to overtake, couldn't get it done. Then obviously he was breaking off line into the chicane, just went over the curb, just got a penalty. And that is the difference between him winning this race by 0.3 seconds and losing this race by 2.7 seconds. Casper takes the victory. A few drivers, I think, will be hoping, obviously, that just this race to be over. Speed risky. He's had a bit of a nightmare in that Ferrari. Looked very quick earlier on, just pitted that undercut early, sort of put him off strategy for the rest of the race, so he finishes down in 14th place. But round one of the season to Casper, and we're going to have a lot of thinking to do here to pick a driver of the day.
Oh, we're going to have a long afternoon. My voice almost just cracked in half then. But what a race we've seen, though. But on the top step of that podium, the Racing Point, the man who... Well, there was always wonders if what he can do whilst he is at the top. The man who was really, I think, quite a lot of us expecting to be at the front, down in 11th. Yeah,
I think there's a few drivers who have been hoping for better things in this race. Obviously, our pole sitter, Tech, he was down in 7th place, so just struggled a bit with penalties. I think that speeding penalty put him further back in the traffic. Cloudy Balloons got damage later on, and that cost him. But Casper, fantastic job from him in the end, especially as he was the first one on the scene of the braking zone as it was getting wetter and wetter. Did very well in the Racing Point.
Yeah, indeed. I'm gonna say this, my driver of the day. I think it's gonna be JM from 8th to 2nd. It was a quiet race. He could have almost won that. Colin as well did a good race. Neon as well. It's so difficult to say. I think JM, though, in my opinion, might be my driver of the day. What about you?
I think I'm going to go for Estimat, and I think the question I'm going to ask him was how careful did you have to be in the first couple of stints to make sure you could put the soft tyres on for that final stint and gain a few places?
Indeed, and my question to my driver of the day of JM is... oh, God, I've got to think of a question now. Thinking of questions. Well, to my thinking, what do you think of that last lap? Do you think maybe you should have been a bit more circumstanced about trying to pass him to try and get that victory? Do you think, in hindsight now, of course, after you've done the race and everything's passed, that maybe that could have been the best moment, or were you just in the racing instinct, of course, as most drivers would be?
Very good question.
Thank you very much. And I'll let you finish the stream off, Luke.
Yeah, it was a fantastic race, plenty of action, and I'm sure next time around we'll provide something similar, and it might just provide some similar weather conditions as well, of course, at the Marina Bay circuit for the Singapore Grand Prix. So thanks obviously to Liam for hosting the stream. You'll be alongside Bryn, I believe, next week. M&T Bryn will be making his return to the One Hub commentary box. Thanks also to all the drivers, everyone who was watching, and to all of our sponsors here at One Hub. Liam RBS, who sponsors the trophies, Next Level Racing, sponsoring a giveaway of their GT Light cockpit. 3M Sim Racing, who provide gloves to the man who gets the most pole positions and the one who gets the most fastest laps as well. So Gogs and Tech not looking too bad in that. Thanks to also some of our other partners, Vespertine and Elite Racing Team, and there is Time to Print 3D, and you can also get 20% off a nice little Canadian Grand Prix Montreal keyring, if that floats your boat.
Ooh. Might get myself one of them, you know, Luke.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, hopefully you don't want the keyring of every single track
well, maybe
in
I do.
F1 2021, otherwise it'd be very heavy to carry your keys around. But
well, Well, I might do that. What could go wrong? I have just have key rings everywhere. Put them in my bags, put them just anywhere, just to hang them up on the wall. Who knows? Just having like a keyring collection. But on that bombshell, I have been me, Mr. Evil Dragon. Luke, thank you very much for stepping in for once. I finally get commentated alongside you as well for the first time for a long time, I think. But thank you for joining me. We'll see you next week whilst we go to Singapore, of course. From America to Singapore. It might take a while for us to get there. We're going to probably take a boat over there, or maybe a plane. A plane might be a bit quicker than a boat, to be fair, actually. But, you know, a boat's fun. We could stop over for Hawaii on the journey. But until next time, I've been Evil, Luke's been Luke. Take care. Goodbye.